Morning, everyone.
Mel Silva, Managing Director of Google Australia New Zealand, and Larry Marshall,
Hey Mel,
CSIRO.
good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
We'll take questions in the room. We've got a lot of people joining on the stream as well, so we'll take a couple of those questions as well. Go for it.
Great.
I just want to kick us off just by telling us, how exciting is this investment, obviously for Google and for Sydney, but also for a lot of jobs specifically. This is a pretty big dollar amount.
Absolutely. We are very excited to be launching the Google Digital Future Initiative today, a $1 billion investment over 5 years that looks at investing in the fundamentals and the foundations of digital technology, like digital infrastructure, partnerships with the likes of the CSIRO and many others, as well as investing in local talent with the launch of Google Research Australia, which is going to be a local research hub based here in Australia working on really fundamental and applied research into all different sorts of problems that Australia faces. So very excited and looking at how we can play a role in helping Australia create a leading digital economy is very important for us here at Google as we celebrate 20 years here next year.
Well, what kind of jobs does that create for people in Sydney specifically?
Well, I think what's exciting is that all three elements have incredible job opportunities. So we're looking particularly at hiring a research team who will be based here, and that will be researchers as well as engineers. We're also looking at building digital infrastructure, which of course spans many different industries. And again, through the partnerships, looking at the ways that they will solve big challenges. So lots of different jobs in many categories. And the economic analysis that we've done really does show that there's potential up to 28,000 jobs that will be created as a result of this initiative.
So are those jobs in addition to the collaboration with CSIRO and with universities?
Yes, absolutely. These
So it's a
are
separate thing.
these are jobs as a result of the investment of the initiative that we're making today.
Is that over the 5 years that you're looking at, the 28,000?
Yes, and we're actually happy to put you in touch with Henry Ergas, who's done this economic modelling for us, who can answer all of those questions in detail, but 28,000 jobs over the 5-year investment.
A question for both of you, whoever would like to take it. The Prime Minister was here. Do you feel supported by the federal government when you're talking about developing new technologies that you have the correct infrastructure and support from them in place, especially when it comes to things like clean energy?
I think, if I may, the support we're really looking for is support from industry, because as brilliant as our science is, and it is brilliant, amazing inventions like, Wi-Fi, we didn't build a company in Australia to manufacture these chips. It all got done overseas, so the economic growth, the lion's share of the benefit, and we generated $1 billion return for Australia. But there are 9 billion devices in the world using this Australian technology, but not many jobs here as a result. So we want to learn from that, and next time we have an amazing breakthrough, to actually grow the jobs here, which is why Mel did the analysis. The thing about this type of innovation is we're able to create whole new markets that couldn't have existed until the science invented it, and that means brand new jobs. Means growth, not by competing with someone else, but by creating something completely new that others have to compete with, which kind of accelerates Australia to the forefront in certain areas.
So moving ahead with industry and maybe leaving the government behind, you can move forward that way?
Look, I've never done anything in government before. I've always been an entrepreneur, so it's a bit of an experience for me. But what I've noticed about government, it's hard for them to decide what's real. Everyone's coming to them lobbying for something. When they see industry make a commitment to something the way Google has done today, that's real. And then it's a lot easier then for government to figure that out and get in and support that. So a lot of the stuff we did on missions. So we have these national missions to create a hydrogen industry, 8,000 jobs, billions of dollars of economic growth, and something to replace coal as it wanes off with the world's transition to net zero. That whole project started through a partnership with Fortescue Metals, but now it's being backed in by other big companies, and aspects of that are actually just between us being backed in by Google because of their amazing digital capability. So growth in energy spills over into all other sectors, and that's what Mel's trying to say here, that innovation of any kind, it's extraordinary, the longevity of the job creation. I mentioned my company that I started, almost 30 years ago. It's still going today. It's still manufacturing the same product, not the same, but close, in Mountain View, California. It never outsourced to China because the profit from that science-driven innovation is so massive. It's not worth trying to shave a few pennies off the cost by having it out manufactured somewhere else. You do it there in Mountain View, California. I think that's what we see from this type of innovation. Jobs that go on for decades because they keep innovating, keep changing, and you focus on the value you're creating, not the money that you're trying to save by cutting cost.
Yeah, and if I might just quickly add on, I mean, I think it's incredible for us to know that the government is committed to creating a leading digital economy and that they can see the benefits for businesses large and small. But I think, as Larry's been saying, some of the breakthroughs in technology that we've seen, even over the last 20 years, no one could have possibly imagined. So if I look at some of the stuff that Google research teams around the world have looked into, things like computer vision. Now, the applications, the fundamental research to actually train a computer to see like an eye does, that's incredibly long, hard work to do. But then the applications are immense. Everything from the frivolous of finding a dog in a photo that you see in Google Photos to helping medical practitioners detect lung cancer in a more efficient way than they have before. So, what we want to work on are the problems that are going to solve those big breakthroughs, but then also have lots and lots of applications. And the government's support for this initiative is really a sign that Australia's got a lot to contribute when it comes to those breakthroughs.
Can you tell us a bit more about this research hub and what it's going to look like?
Yeah, fantastic. We've actually got a couple of research hubs based around the world. This is the first ever research hub that's going to be based in Australia. So we'll be hiring a team of local engineers and researchers who are going to be based here, working alongside the research community. And we're hiring that engineering director, that director right now, to work on that strategy and think about what sort of fundamental and applied problems that they want to solve.
Will it be based here in Piedmont?
Based here in Piedmont, yeah.
In this
In this building.
And you're also expanding, I think, a fourth Google office is in the works?
Yes, we've put that development application in and it's on track. But this is our third space here in Sydney. Yeah.
Ms. Silva, the Prime Minister has described the online world as being a coward's palace where people can defame or abuse others without their true identity. But sometimes what one person may see as abuse, another person may see as someone giving a realistic assessment of a dodgy real estate agent or a cosmetic surgeon who's not delivering on their promises. Does it concern you that the government is looking at upgrading defamation law to allow it to be easier to sue people online, potentially your users?
So look, I think it's important as technology scales and as people use it more and more that regulation keeps up. And we always want to work alongside the government to create a safe environment for consumers and for all of the people that use our platform. So making sure that those continue to evolve and that we're part of the process and that we can find that spot where consumers get the maximum benefit in a safe environment has always been a huge responsibility of ours. And we're working very closely with the New South Wales and federal levels of government around defamation.
And on a separate note, but similarly on federal legislation, the federal government has been looking at increased powers for intelligence services to respond in the event of cyber attacks. Now, a number of companies, I think including Google, but certainly others, have raised concerns that that goes too far, is too broad, allows government agencies too much say to control and access data in those events with too few safeguards. Has the government taken those concerns seriously?
Look, I think today we really want to keep the conversation about the initiative, so we're happy to take those conversations with you offline. But as I said, things like security, cyber security, the way that consumers feel safe when they're using our products is a key priority for us, and making sure that we can collaborate with governments is also a huge responsibility that we have when we provide services to Australians. So happy to work with the government on all those sorts of issues and come up with a collaborative approach.
Earlier this year, Google threatened to leave the Australian market. What's happened since then for this economy to become worth such a large investment? Or is this $1 billion a signal that Google never really had any intention of leaving Australia and was just holding its own business to ransom?
So we were always outlining that as a worst case scenario. That was never ever what we wanted to happen. We were pleased that we got to a constructive outcome and the Prime Minister referenced that outcome today. We've now done over 110 deals, so we are very, very pleased that we were able to continue our relationship with Australia, that we weren't in any situation where we needed to withdraw those services, and now we're looking at how do we really focus on the future and what's the impact that we can have in Australia as we look forward for for the next 20 years as we celebrate our 20th anniversary.
Can you envisage another scenario where Google might actually say we're going to take our resources out of Australia again?
I think we can look forward to working collaboratively with governments as they try to navigate the technology world and the regulatory world, and as new technologies emerge, we want to make sure that we've got good constructive relationships with the government so that we can continue to be part of the process.
Ms. Silva, there's an election coming up.
Oh, sorry.
There's an election coming up. There's sure to be an enormous amount of online content from political parties and individuals expressing their opinions, but obviously there's challenges here. There's been a lot of concern about misinformation and stuff like that. Can you talk us through some of the measures that Google has in place to ensure the integrity of that election in Australia?
Yes, we have to take this issue incredibly seriously. As you know, we pride ourselves in providing Australian information, Australian consumers with authoritative information, and that over the last year has become more evident than ever as the pandemic has taken hold, and we've had to work very closely with federal and state level authorities to make sure that authoritative information is there. We are very transparent about the information and our policies and community guidelines. There's also a minimum standards in terms of the way that our platforms operate, and we remove content that's in breach of those guidelines. So we take misinformation very, very seriously, and it's something that at any time of the year, not just in election periods, that we need to take very, very seriously to make sure that we're providing a great service to people.
Just a couple of questions on the stream. There's a lot of people viewing online, obviously.
Yes, just one question here from Campbell Kwan from ZDNet. Is the Digital Future Initiative $1 billion investment fully funded by Google, or is there government co-investment within that?
No, this is an investment purely from Google Australia.
Time for a few more, if anyone.
Sure. Google has struck an enormous number of partnerships, but some of the other participants in the news bargaining code seem to have been a little more reticent. Do you think that is evidence of bad faith on the part of any other participants within the news bargaining code framework?
All I can do is look and think about how we've done our deals and how Google has shown up as part of that process. I think we worked very collaboratively with the government and with the news media businesses to strike those deals, and we're focused on making sure that those deals are beneficial for both parties. So I can't speak on behalf of others.
With SBS in the conversation, for example?
Absolutely. Very proud.
Time for one more.
Yeah, just, I guess just following on from this question, has Google been putting some effort after the really rocky ride at the start of the year into building its relations with federal government, state governments? Is you feel like you're in a better position as a company here with an announcement like this compared to all the other issues that have been playing out earlier?
I feel like we've always worked constructively. I think the PM's words today were we did have to work through a very crunchy issue last year, and we did that. But if I look back at the 15 years that I've been at Google, we've always had a very, very strong and collaborative relationship with the government at all levels, and we want to continue to do that. So, I think that, last year was a very different situation. We worked through that. We were very pleased to come to a constructive outcome at the end, and now it's time to sort of look forward and think about how Google Australia can bring the best of what we do to help Australia become a leading digital economy.
What is the collaboration today, though, with the federal government? Is the Prime Minister here to just show his support for the $1 billion, or to show that the relationship between the pair has been patched up?
I think that's a question that you might need to ask the PM. We were very, very pleased to put this initiative together and to work with great partners like the CSIRO, and of course we wanted to let the Prime Minister and the government know that we were committed and wanted to invest in Australia and contribute to his goal of creating a leading digital economy.
And it certainly didn't disrupt us. The relationship between us went through all of that, and we delivered these great results you saw with Crown and Starfish.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks, Larry. Thank you, everyone.